This is obviously the biggest escalation since those March raids on Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. We are now hearing that federal investigators are preparing to possibly bring witnesses in front of a federal grand jury in New York City. What we have heard is that possible witnesses have been notified that they could be called to testify. Now, sources do caution that investigators are still in the process of gathering information.
At this point, he is going to have to spend the rest of his days in Cuba or on an island undisclosed to avoid ending up in prison like R. Kelly. The powers that be pulled his time card and his time is up.
In fact, they are still calling in new witnesses, and they have called in some witnesses multiple times. We also hear that the majority of the accusers who have filed these civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs have been brought in for questioning, and again, some of them being called in numerous times. We hear that many are cooperating and even handing over evidence that they feel could be relevant into this federal probe. Now, a spokesperson for Homeland Security,
he better go to wherever Russell Simmons is, or whatever country doesn't have an extradition treaty with the U.S.
did not respond to our request for comment about the presence of a grand jury, but they did confirm that this investigation is presently ongoing.
And Elizabeth, what are you learning about the evidence that investigators could be reviewing here?
So, as I mentioned, those federal raids that were conducted on his homes back in March, obviously a lot of people wondering what was seized.
Yikes. It might be over for him once these evidence start coming out. Feds definitely got something.
Well, we are learning now that federal investigators are in possession of video footage that was taken inside of Combs's residence. We hear that these investigators have been contacting individuals that they have seen on this footage. One person, in addition to the accusers who have filed these civil suits, is a male sex worker. That is what a source tells me, and that they have been brought in for questioning through these federal investigators.
Damn. It's wild how they tease out bits of information. Then watch to see if he makes any moves that further helps prove their case. SMH. One thing about the law of reciprocity, it's never late and always on time, good and bad.
Now, when the raids first happened, we had a law enforcement source tell us at CNN that the investigation was largely based in sex trafficking, which is what HSI specializes in. Now we are hearing that that scope has been widened.
As the investigation unfolds, it is essential to remember that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. The legal process will ultimately determine the veracity of the allegations against Combs and the appropriate course of action. In the meantime, it is important to respect the rights of all parties involved and allow the justice system to run its course.
Investigators are really looking into all of these claims put forth in these civil lawsuits. That would include not just sex trafficking, but also money laundering and illegal drugs. I have a source who tells me, quote, "This is much bigger than just these lawsuits."